Just a few days ago, the infrastructure bill passed. Don't get excited, it wasn't the good one. It was the bipartisan bill. And in the end, about 19 members of Congress broke with their respective parties to support the bipartisan infrastructure bill. It passed 228 to 206, with Democrats largely supporting it, although not universally, and Republicans mostly opposed, although not universally. So before we jump into those who bucked their party and the attacks against them, Francesca, I just wanted to give you a chance to opine on where we're at. In the end, after months, they did it. They broke apart the two bills, but we have a promise, so that's as good as gold.
Yeah.
Fool's gold. Anyway, so we got the one, will we get the other?
Yeah, there's a little IOU written apparently by the moderates, signed in Nancy Pelosi's lipstick, and they're gonna supposedly pass the Build Back Better plan. And look, I think it does suck that the legislation did get broken up. And I do think that there is a long road ahead of people like Pelosi and Schumer and Biden who swear, on their freezer full of ice cream that they can definitely get moderates, including Manchin and Sinema in the Senate, on board with a Build Back Better plan. So we shall see. I think progressives have definitely done their part. And even the ones I know we're gonna talk about who didn't vote for this bill. But yeah, I mean, I also think that, look, we have to be honest about what's in it and what isn't in it. There's only $555 billion of new spending. It's important. It doesn't go all the way, let's say, in replacing all lead pipes across the country. But it is a start, but it is definitely not, as the president called it, transformative, once in a lifetime. Everyone will look back on this day. Eagles will lay their eggs. Like, that's not what this bill is.
Yeah, if we were hoping for a moonshot, instead they got us to break orbit, but we're just heading towards the sun and it's not looking great at this point. Yeah, no, you're totally right. And so let's just, maybe we'll be wrong. And in 2 weeks' time, they'll vote on the bill, which has already been cut down so much. But anyway, maybe they'll vote on the 1.75 trillion or whatever. I sort of doubt it, because again, what's the leverage now? Like Manchin and Sinema didn't give a damn about any of this when there was actual leverage. Now there's absolutely nothing, and it didn't have to be this way. They could have tied it together, or if you're gonna go first on one, Pelosi was saying, well, we can't put up the reconciliation bill because some of the Democrats, I almost called them Republicans. Whoops, some of them might vote against it. Okay, well, the progressives are gonna vote against the other one. We had a deal. It was supposed to be at the same time. Why are you advantaging one side rather than the other? We already know the reason. And I'm glad that some Democrats, members of the squad, voted against it, but at least 20 had said earlier that day that they were going to from the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and they did not. So that's cool, but who did? Well, 6 Democrats who are part of the squad: Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, and Rashida Tlaib voted against Mr. Biden's plan. Over the weekend, you might have seen Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did, I think it was an Instagram Live, where she went in detail as to her philosophy, what strategically she was trying to do, what she hopes to see done. So that's good, but understand that the attacks have been coming. Representative Tom Suozzi of New York said that doesn't make any sense. These are two sides of the same coin. People so far out on the fringe, instead of trying to get stuff done to help people and make people's lives better, that's what people are sick and tired of. They're sick and tired of a few progressives trying to get more. They just want nothing and they want it now. And Francesca, I think you saw this tweet from Amy Siskind, who said, yep, half the Republicans from New York voted yes on infrastructure because it helps our state so much. My member of Congress, whose district will see direct benefit, voted no because, well, maybe an appearance on cable TV.
I mean, this threw me for one. I don't know why I followed Amy Siskind, but I definitely unfollowed her after this. And it was very sad to see the pile on of people like, yeah, AOC hates roads. They all hate roads. Like, no, man. And it's really interesting who gets called a fringe or not. If you run cover for insurrectionists on January 6th, if you undermine voting rights, if you make critical race theory the backbone of your campaign, completely made up, based on nothing, you should be listened to. Who's telling your story? How are you actually reaching out to the heart of the the Republicans, which is also the Confederacy, but why can't we just reach there? Oh, but if you hold out for actual social programs, if you hold out for the things you promised to deliver on, oh, no. You hold out on wildly popular programs. Yeah, I don't know. You're doing it for the clout. You're doing it to get on cable news, because you know how easy it is for progressives to get on cable news. It's crazy.
Yeah,
like they have them on all the time.
It's totally, they just get so many opportunities. Especially if you're in independent progressive news. Anyway, think about how messed up that is. Like it's one thing to just be like, I have no idea why they did it. I mean, they haven't been yelling from the rooftops for 6 months about what their strategy or their goals are.
Yes.
But I think that female politician just wants more attention. Like the sort of implicit misogyny there, that she's just an attention whore. No, she's been very clear about what she wants, and what she wants is more of that direct benefit that you say is so great.
Yep.
Anyway, she's continued to try to get through to people, saying things like, she was trying to explain why just doing the bipartisan infrastructure stuff effectively might end up meaning basically nothing in terms of climate change without the Build Back Better as well. I'm not gonna read her whole thing, but she says, BIF and BBB are not written as two distinct bills, but interlocking policy. BIF's climate benefits only unlock if BBB passes. If BBB is gutted or dies, we may have just locked the US emissions and thrown away our biggest chance to combat climate change. Stakes are now higher on BBB passing. Stakes are higher, odds are lower. Amy Siskind apparently doesn't understand what rising sea levels are gonna do to New York City. I've seen some projections, it's not great. But thankfully there is somebody that is trying to fight to stop that sort of thing from happening.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting, right? Because I've seen the argument made, which is why are we building so many more roads without necessarily ensuring that they are climate chaos proof? And also, why are we building more roads when we know that roads are where the fossil fuels are? What about more money into railways? What about more money into whatever else? Little pods, little catapults, really. I mean, there's carbon free, just catapult people to work, I've always said. And then you have giant parachutes that catch them. But I do want to say really quickly that it's that kind of centrist, moderate, supposedly moderate ideology that says, hey, stay in your lane, don't be fringe, you hate the Democrats, you hate Biden's plan, that is so bad faith that progressives are up against all the time. There's that. And then there's something that really stuck out to me in Cenk's conversation with Ro Khanna on Friday, which was that Ro kept on saying I hear you and I hear the progressive frustration. But on the other hand, Manchin and Sinema are very okay with nothing.
Yeah.
He said that multiple times, yeah, but Manchin doesn't want anything. He wants zero. He could be perfectly happy just to go back to his community and literally give them a lump of coal for Christmas in their stocking and be like, yep, that's what, exactly. And that'll be $9.99. So that's what he wants.
Yeah, and look, it sucks, but that's also, I mean, I don't know how many times over the past few months I've said that. And honestly, I always wondered along the way, am I being too reductive? Are there things in the bipartisan bill that they would want? It felt good to have Ro Khanna agree with me there. Now, unfortunately, Ro Khanna is not on the list of people who voted against the passage of the bill.
Yep.
So I like Ro Khanna. Ro has been one of the most communicative progressives in Congress in terms of being willing to come here and submit himself to harsh questioning. I mean, I think we can all agree that that was an aggressive interview by Cenk Uygur, but I also care a little bit more about the votes, and the vote wasn't there. It wouldn't have changed it, but what are you gonna do?
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.